makes you stand out over the other applicants, considering that I think we can safely assume that everyone uh, uh, has a skill and zeal, no, for public service. What is your so-called value added to the position?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe I'm a strong contender for the position of the Ombudsman because I have the competence. As mentioned in my application and my PDS, Your Honor, I have the academic training from my Executive Master of Business Administration, and I'm also taking my International Master of Laws, aside from my law degree. And aside from my competence, I also offer my youth, my vigor, and my integrity, and my leadership, Your Honor. What I offer is my unproven leadership to the public service because I've already offered this to the private sectors, and I can assure you that I gave my best performance when I was the leader of this organization, and it's about time to offer this to the public.
Just how passionate are you, Attorney Caroche, in combating graft and corruption?
I'm deeply passionate, Your Honor, because this is the only position that I applied for, and I'm willing to leave my private practice just for this position alone. It's a lucrative practice, but I'm willing to give up that practice for this position because I believe I have what it takes, Your Honor, and I have the passion, the energy to do it among other applicants, Your Honor, because I'm the youngest, and I think I can deliver.
Have you had the opportunity of handling anti-graft related cases?
Yes, Your Honor. When I was an associate lawyer, I appeared before the Sandigan Bayan, and I was an associate lawyer for 5 years, Your Honor, before setting up my own law office. So I had a good background with regard to these cases.
Are you familiar with the Farmally case?
Formally case, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If you were the ombudsman during that time, what would you have done differently in dealing with this particular case?
Insofar as that Farmally case concerned, Your Honor, I believe that the Farmally has a low capitalization, and yet they were able to secure a huge government contract, Your Honor. So if I were the ombudsman, I think I'm going to impede all those parties who had a participation, why that contract was given to Farmally, because I saw that there were parties parties that were not implemented in this case, which took part or took I think there was a participation with regard to this person, and if I'm the ombudsman, I would include all those persons involved, even those private sectors.
Attorney Caroche, if you were to rate the current administration in its effort to combat graft and corruption, from a scale of 1 to 10, what is your rating and why?
I think I think it's underperforming on the basis of the perception corruption index because we scored low in the International Transparency Perception Corruption Index. So I think I would give a low score from 1 to 10. I think I'm going to give 2.
Okay, thank you. That was my final question. I wish you luck, Attorney Caroche, and thank you, Attorney Cuevas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Mejia. Our next interviewer is the Honorable Justice Erlinda Piñera Uy.
Thank you, Attorney Cuevas. Good afternoon, Attorney
Good afternoon.
Caroche-Vestido. Most of your legal career is in private practice.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you share the different types of cases that you have handled in civil and criminal litigation?
I've handled several civil and criminal cases, Your Honor. I've handled also family cases. I've also handled, aside from civil and criminal, I've handled almost everything from administrative or simple case and land registration, land dispute, and a lot, Your Honor. Actually, even high-profile cases I was able to experience, and even election dispute, Your Honor.
How about before the Ombudsman or the Sandigan Bayan?
Before the Ombudsman, when I was an associate lawyer, Your Honor, but in my law office, I filed a case before the Ombudsman, but it was not acted upon. So I did not have the opportunity to appear before the Sandigan Bayan, Your Honor.
How long ago was this?
I think that was in 2019, Your Honor, if I'm not mistaken. I filed a case, but it was not acted upon, although I already submitted my position paper.
If appointed as Ombudsman, how will you ensure independence in handling cases that involve powerful political figures or close personal acquaintances or maybe former clients?
I think I will tell them, Your Honor, that I am committed to this position, that I will not bow to anyone or even to my colleagues or former clients, because they know me that even if we are colleagues, I'm committed to my oath, and it's not something that I can let go just to please them, because I'm not. I don't think I would sacrifice my moral values or my oath just to please this politician or high government ranking official, because they don't have any control over me unless I allow them.
If appointed, what measures will you implement to address case backlog and ensure speedy resolution of cases at the Ombudsman?
Your Honor, I'm going to apply my academic training during my Executive Master of Business Administration. There are lots of frameworks available that can be utilized to address this backlog in the Ombudsman, Your Honor. As is stated in my action plan, Your Honor, I'm going to apply the McKinsey 7S and the Cunnivan framework, as well as other frameworks, Your Honor. For example, I'm going first to have a survey with regard to the employees and also to get their sentiments. And of course, there would be an audit with regard to these cases. And utilizing the Cunnivan framework, Your Honor, in which it's a decision-making tool in which the problems, or just like the cases in the Ombudsman, they will be categorized into 5 domains, or like a 5 category. Number 1, from simple case. So all these administrative cases will be categorized as A. This simple case will be, according to the framework, the simple case can be addressed using the best practices. And the second category is letter B. I'm going to categorize the complicated cases. And according to the framework, these complicated cases can be addressed by asking the experts, for example, the auditor. So you need to consult expert with regard to complicated cases, because in this category there are multiple right answers. So another category is the complex cases. So it would need a lot of time to address complex cases, and this would need experimentation according to the framework. And next, na chaotic cases, I could classify them as D. And according to this framework, these chaotic cases, it would take a long time, because this would involve systemic issues, and you cannot address that in just a matter of in 6 or 1 month. You need time. And also, I would categorize another batch of cases as classified E, the highly sensitive cases. And these highly sensitive or high-profile cases should be addressed immediately or within hours because they need public response. So that's how I'm going to address this case backlog, Your Honor, because aside from the categorization of these cases, I would assign the investigators, I would ask the investigators to have a quota per day. So to reduce the backlogs, I would require them to resolve or at least dispose 10 simple cases a day. So imagine how many investigators are there in the Ombudsman, and if they are disposing 10 cases every day, then that would reduce the backlog, assuming that the case backlog of the Ombudsman, 20% of which is classified as A. And then every 1 month or 3 months, I would require them to resolve at least 3 complicated cases. And then that would be resolved within 1 to 3 months. And from 3 months to 6 months, I would require them to at least resolve 1 complicated case, or complex case rather. And then so on, and that's how I'm going to do it, Your Honor. I think with the time frame and the division of work, I think the case backlog could be resolved in a year.
My attention was caught with the term chaotic. What do you mean by that?
According to this framework, Your Honor, the chaotic is that there are so many issues involved, Your Honor, and there's so many factors involved, such as the interference from external factors, like political interference, and there are threats, for example, to the investigators. It's complex, it's chaotic, because you cannot apply the best practices to this kind of cases.
How would you apply the doctrine of inordinate delay in evaluating pending ombudsman cases?
I think the delay in the disposition of the inordinate delay in the disposition of the cases in the Ombudsman, Your Honor, depends on the, I think, depends on the will of the leader, Your Honor. It's really on the leader of every organization. Because if the leader is proactive, of course, the cases would move forward. But if the leader of the Ombudsman is not forward-thinking and has no desire to deliver the mandate to the Filipino people, or does not desire to have a good impression or public approval, then the case would really suffer from delay.
How would you define moral courage in public office? And can you cite an instance in your career when you had to make an unpopular but principled decision?
I would define moral courage as something that you are willing to risk your life for it, and your moral values dictate that this is the right thing to do, even if it's unpopular, and you have the heart to do it, even those people close to you are against it, because you are dictated by your moral compass and by your principles.
My follow-up question was, any instance when you had to exercise a principled decision?
Oh, there were several times, Your Honor. In my line of work and in my practice for 20 years, we've always encountered this scenario in which our mettle will be tested, Your Honor. In fact, there was a time that I had a client, a controversial client, Your Honor, and I had a disagreement with the law enforcement agency, particularly the NBI, Your Honor. And as a sole practitioner, Your Honor, it's not easy to go against with the NBI agents, but I showed moral courage, Your Honor, and I showed my principle when I sued a department in the NBI, Your Honor, and I could say that I was fearless at that time, even I don't have anyone with me in the law office. And because I believe I was doing the right thing and I was defending the right of my client, because he could not defend himself, and I am the only one who would stand up to defend him.
And what happened to the case?
I filed a case before the Ombudsman against the NBI agents, Your Honor, and it was not acted upon.
It did not prosper.
It, uh, it was, I filed the position paper, and the NBI also filed the position paper. And after that, we did not hear anything from the Ombudsman.
That was my last question. Good luck to you, Attorney Vestido.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Uy. Our next interviewer is the Honorable Attorney Nesauro H. Firme.
Thank you, Attorney Marife. Good afternoon, Attorney.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Yeah, I have one question which was relayed, well, two sets of questions. One is mine. One was relayed to us by the good senator. So he would like to know your position regarding if you have been reading the news recently about the lifestyle check. What is your position on that?
Well, I think if I would be the Ombudsman, Your Honor, there would be a lot of lifestyle check because I believe that there are so many officials right now who should be subjected to lifestyle check, and I think this is one of my priorities if I would be the Ombudsman, because the graft and corruption is so rampant nowadays, and the people is angry about this corruption. And I think one of the best ways is to check the lifestyles of this public event. What we need in the Ombudsman is proactivity, because not few people are filing cases before the Ombudsman because they lack the trust and they fear of retaliation. What we need is an Ombudsman who would proactively file cases and check the lifestyle of this public official if there are unexplained wealth and ill-gotten wealth based from their transactions with the government, if any. I think there are a lot of creative ways to check if there's a graft and corruption, because the power of the Ombudsman is so vast. Actually, the framers of the Constitution gave the powers to the Ombudsman to check on these public officials so that there would be no graft and corruption and they would be prevented.
So before I start my own questions, I would like to make some follow-up regarding the case you filed against this NBI official or personnel. So if ever you would become the Ombudsman, what are you going to do with that case?
Well,
The one that you filed.
of course, that would move forward, Your Honor, because that would be included in the cases that would be handled by the investigators. Of course, I would. I have the personal knowledge with regard to this case, but I would not be the one to resolve because that would be conflict of interest. I will let the investigators dispose that, and as the complainant, they can ask me because I have personal knowledge, and I can assure those NBI agents that their time is over.
So
And
you
I'm
will
going
be
to
part of-
finish.
You will be part of the investigation. You will be the complainant. And at the same time, eventually resolve it. Okay. Question, Attorney, no? If appointed as the Ombudsman, what can the stakeholders expect from you?
Well, they can expect a lot of cases to be filed against government officials, Your Honor, and their cohorts in the private sectors, because I would be very diligent, passionate, independent, and there would be, I could not say that there will be a war on corruption, but I could say that there would be a lot to that.
So what propels you or motivates you to leave private office and take this post?
Because I'm an advocate, Your Honor, and you want to be the front runner in this fight against corruption, because I believe I'm a fighter, Your Honor. I have the will to do it, the capability, and I have the integrity because I could say, Your Honor, I am incorruptible. And I believe that if we want a change in the government, we have to do it by ourselves. I believe in the saying, Your Honor, that the thing that I've said by Edmund Burke, Your Honor, that the only thing necessary for the evil to triumph is when good men do nothing.
I heard you say earlier that you have the integrity. So can you tell me an instance where your integrity was put to test, and how did you navigate through that?
With regard to the integrity, Your Honor, I could say that because I'm also a very fair person, Your Honor, you can show my integrity, Your Honor, with my words and with my actions, because even without any fanfare, I still continue to do what is right. Because integrity, they say, is defined as continue doing something even if no one is looking. So even if there's no audience, and you can attest that I will do the right thing because upon testing my resolve, I will still do what is fair for everyone concerned by giving them due process. And the feedback of those who experience your leadership or the way you handle things could say that you have the integrity because you did not go out of way and you did not violate their rights just to advance what you want. You still respected everybody just to get what you want.
Was that integrity that you said you possess, was it tested? And was there an instance that it was put to test?
Yes, Your Honor, several times. In fact, my clients, Your Honor, could attest that I have the integrity because I do not sell my clients or my cases because, Your Honor, in my line of practice, Your Honor, sometimes there will come a time you will be approached by the other party just to settle the case and have an out-of-court settlement without the knowledge of your client. I never did that in my line of practice, Your Honor. I could say that in my 20 years of practice, I never sold my clients. I still fought. I handled all my cases with passion and dedication, and I'm sure I can face them. Whatever the results, we gave a good fight.
So if ever appointed attorney, do you see or foresee any significant change in your life? And how would you manage to cope with that?
Definitely, Your Honor. It would be a lot different from what I'm doing because I cannot attend parties anymore. If I'd be appointed as the Ombudsman, I have more than 10 organizations, Your Honor. So my life would drastically change because I cannot continue to be part of this organization. I have to focus on the mission of the Ombudsman, and by joining a lot of organizations, it's very difficult to, aside from balancing your time, you have to be grounded as well because the position of ombudsman would demand that you are perceived, not just you want to be fair, but you need to be fair from the perception of the public. So your act should be beyond reproach. You should be the model of integrity. You should be the model of good governance. If they can see you partying and having a lavish lifestyle, they then don't believe you as an ombudsman. Aside from that, aside from having this private life away from our organization, I think I would also have a very dangerous life because I will be very passionate with regard to pursuing corrupt officials. So I would expect that the moment that I do that, one of my foot would be considered as, You are under the ground already, and you can die anytime if you run against this corrupt government official. But what motivates me to continue doing that, and despite the fact that expect that life would be very dangerous, is for me to implement the reforms that I mentioned in my action plan. And these reforms would change the systemic problems in our country. And these reforms should be institutionalized so that even if I die, they would remain and they would really change the system.
And you are probably aware that you would have many bodyguards by then.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm aware that the Ombudsman has a lot of bodyguard, but I don't need a lot of bodyguard. I believe that if it's your time, it's your time. And the most important bodyguard is, the one up there. So as long as I'm not doing anything bad, I believe that I'd be protected. As long as I continue to recite Psalm 91 every day, I'd be protected. That's the promise.
So how much do you value public perception, attorney?
A lot. For me, it's the most important thing when you become the ombudsman, because with due respect to the Supreme Court and the Sambigan Bayan, when you are the ombudsman, the most important court is the court of public opinion. Because if the public do not trust the ombudsman, that the office of the ombudsman is useless. The people must trust you so that they would file the complaint. They would come out from their lives and help you in your mandate to fight against corruption. Because it's very difficult to do the job of the ombudsman if you don't have a witness. Because nobody trusts you as the ombudsman. They would risk their lives. So you should prove that you can be trusted by the public. And this is the most important, the public opinion. Because if you are respected by the institution, cases will be filed in your office and you will stay relevant in the society.
Since you value that public perception much, how about public criticisms? How are you going to handle them?
It's part of the job, Your Honor. Whatever you do, you would get a lot of criticism because you cannot please everybody. But as the ombudsman, you are not there. You cannot. It's expected that in our job, even as lawyers, you cannot please everybody. We have a saying that if you want to please everybody, you just sell ice cream. Because the moment you become a lawyer, you stand up for something, you stand up for your principle, and you will a lot of people because you stand up for your truth and you fight for what you believe in. So criticism is part of the job, Your Honor. And it would not affect me because even if you're not the ombudsman, you get criticized, then it will just level up.
So in other words, you do not want to sell ice cream.
I don't want to sell ice cream.
Okay. Let us assume, attorney, that is already... let us assume, attorney, it's already 2029. Understandably, there's a new president by then, right? And you are the ombudsman. Now, you were appointed by the present administration to become the next ombudsman. Okay. So I will give you 5 things, and I would ask you to rank them. Number 1 being the most significant, for you. Number 5 would be the least significant. So number 1 would be in my list would be the president that appointed you to this post. Number 2 in my list would be the sitting president. It's already 2029, so there's a new president. Number 3 would be the public, including public perception, which you mentioned earlier, you value so much. No? Number 4 would be the safety of your family, which I also mentioned earlier, that you are aware that you will have a lot of threats. And number 5, I was listening to you about your personal goal, to your personal drive, your personal motivation. So these are the 5 things. Which do you think is the most significant for you and which is the least significant? Number 1 would be the president that appointed you. Number 2, the current president, which is 2029. Number 3 would be the public perception. 4 would be your family and the safety of your family. Number 5 would be your personal goal, your personal mission.
Okay. If I'm going to rank those things, Your Honor, number 1 is the public perception. And do I have to explain, Your Honor? Or just the rank? Number 1, public perception. Number 2, my personal mission as the ombudsman. Number 3, my family safety. Number 4, the current president. Number 5,
Let us assume also that there are several persons, public officials that helped you get the post, the ombudsman post. Now, would you have the guts to file a case against them?
of course, Your Honor, if the evidence of warrant, no one would be indispensable, Your Honor.
So, last question, Attorney, what significant development in your life would make you or decide you to leave the ombudsman post? Let us consider you are already the ombudsman.
Well, if there's a controversy, Your Honor, that would put my reputation, because there's damning evidence against me, and my name is already tainted, Your Honor. I think that's the only time, because as I've said, it's very important. Then the ombudsman must value public's perception. I'm not a shameless person, Your Honor. And if I believe that the public do not trust me anymore, then I don't have the business staying in the office, Your Honor, because I'm there because I would serve the people. If the people I'm serving are not happy with my performance and my name is tainted, then I think I have to leave the office of the ombudsman, Your Honor. It's important that we have shame with regard to our position, just like what the Japanese people do. If they suffered from humiliation, they do this harakiri. But I'm not saying that I'm going to do that, Your Honor. I'm not going to do that. But it's I think the honorable way to do. If you are being shamed and there's a damning evidence against you. But it's not, I don't think it's gonna happen, because I know myself, Your Honor. Even if there are allegations, I believe that those allegations are either fake or fabricated, because I know myself more than they know me.
That will be all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Attorney. Good luck.
Thank you, Attorney Firme. Our last interviewer is the Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Attorney Marife. Good afternoon, Attorney Caroche-Vestido.
Good afternoon, Justice.
Personally, I'm adopting the questions posed by my colleagues. I have a set of questions here from ex officio member, Congresswoman Luistro. First question. There is a prevailing view that the ombudsman should neither be a politician nor have any political background to avoid potential conflict of interest. What is your opinion on this perspective?
I share the view, Your Honor, and I completely agree with that stance, Your Honor, that the ombudsman must have no political debt to anyone. And I think that would be my edge, Your Honor, because I don't have any political debt. I was not appointed to the government. I think that is very important. And I could maintain my independence, Your Honor, can do better than the gentleman. And I do not agree with that stance of former President Rodrigo Duterte, Your Honor. I can assure him that the women are better at cleaning the house. The ombudsman is just like a house, Your Honor, and we do better in cleaning the house.
Question number 3. You have previously served as legal counsel for an election candidate. If appointed as ombudsman, how will you assure the public that your prior political or professional affiliations will not influence your decisions, particularly in cases where complaints may involve your former client?
Your Honor, the election case that I've handled, Your Honor, first, he did not win because he was, he withdrew from his candidacy, Your Honor. So he's not in the position right now to influence me should I become the ombudsman. So that's the only that's the only case that I've handled with regard to a would-be politician, Your Honor, or a candidate, I mean. So nothing, aside from that case, I've not handled any political candidate, Your Honor. So they don't have any hold. I don't know, in fact, I don't know anyone, any politician. I know them, but they don't know me on a personal level.
Question number 4. You have spent your entire professional career in private law practice. Considering that the Office of the Ombudsman is a public accountability institution with investigatory and prosecutorial powers unique to government, how will you transition from private practice to the demands of public service? What qualities or experiences do you bring that will assure the Council and the public of your capability to lead an independent and effective Ombudsman's office?
As a practitioner for 20 years, Your Honor, I've experienced prosecution, and at the same time as a defense counsel, Your Honor. Even in private or public service, they are just the same, Your Honor. It's different with regard to the clients, because in private practice, your client is the one paying you, but in public service, your client is the people, especially if you are the ombudsman. So there's no much difference, Your Honor. The most important thing is how to prosecute. And during my practice, I've learned this in practice, Your Honor, prosecuting cases, and at the same time as a defense lawyer. So I know both, and I think it's an advantage on my part because I know the mindset of the prosecutor, I know the mindset of a defense lawyer, and when I become the ombudsman, I can apply my knowledge from both sides in prosecuting and in advocating against corruption, Your Honor. And I believe, Your Honor, that my practice mostly, Your Honor, my practice mostly is as a defense lawyer for the poor clients, Your Honor. Although I have corporate clients, but most of my practice, I've been defending the poor people because they are suffering from injustice or oppression. And this is what I'm also offering. That's why I'm applying for the ombudsman, because I want to defend the Filipino people, Your Honor. And I think the best defense is offense against these corrupt public officials.
Last question. In your personal view, what concrete reforms should the Office of the Ombudsman undertake to improve efficiency and speed in resolving both criminal and administrative complaints?
There are lots of reforms, Your Honor. I stated in my action plans, Your Honor, for the ombudsman to become effective. There are operational reforms, there are legal reforms, and then there are cultural reforms. For the operational reforms, Your Honor, the most important is the case management. And I've already discussed how I'm going to reduce the backlogs of the ombudsman and what the cases I'm going to pursue in case I will be the ombudsman, and how to make the operation more efficient so that there would be no backlogs and all the cases will be disposed with speed and with transparency, and of course with the aim of satisfying the public. And also, I proposed the legal reforms, because to address the systemic issues and in the government, there should be laws that should be enacted by the Congress to aid the Ombudsman to prosecute cases. I think there are lacking laws in the Philippines with regard to whistleblowers, Your Honor, because the cornerstone of the fight against corruption, Your Honor, is the protection of the whistleblowers, because they are our best witnesses, Your Honor. And under our obligations in the Convention against Corruption, United Convention against Corruption, is that we will comply with the fight against corruption. The cornerstone of this convention, Your Honor, is to protect the whistleblowers. So I think if I would be the Ombudsman, Your Honor, that would be one of my priorities, to ask the Congress to pass a Whistleblower Protection Act. And I think that would encourage the public to come forward, because aside from the law, the law would include reward for these whistleblowers from 10% to 20%, because I think that's the only way we can eradicate. That's not the only way, but one of the best ways to encourage the public to help the Ombudsman is to come forward, not just in the private sectors, but especially in the government sectors. If the public would testify on the wrongdoings, or the employees or the insiders of these government offices would come forward and testify against the corruption in their department or their office, the Ombudsman would have a strong case, because the whistleblower will have personal knowledge. And it's very important that the witness of the Ombudsman has personal knowledge, because there are requirements that must be satisfied to get its conviction. So aside from the Whistleblower Act, in the legal reform, I would also lobby for the Congress to enact a Non-Interference Act, meaning these politicians who would influence or contact the Ombudsman should be named and should suffer from automatic suspension, or at least they should suffer the penalty of removal, because they are interfering with the job of the Ombudsman. So we can eliminate this political interference. And in that law, I would also suggest the Congress to pass a law to disqualify public officials who have been convicted by the Sandigan Bayan from running again, meaning they should not be allowed to run from any public officers, because they are already proven corrupt. And since we don't have that kind of law, even if there are politicians who were convicted by the Sandigan Bayan, they can still run in the government. And there should be a law prohibiting that. And then aside from the legal reforms, I would also suggest for a cultural reform. Because in our society nowadays, Your Honor, corruption has become a norm. It's like that the people have already accepted the facts that most of the government officials are corrupt. And they're not doing anything. In fact, they're just waiting, they're just bashing them in social media, but they're not doing enough. And for me, there should be a cultural reform. We should start from the elementary students. We should educate them on the evil of graft and corruption, up to the students or postgraduate, and up to those who are studying law. There should be a subject about this graft and corruption, and I think that would change the mindset of the public, because we keep on stealing the values against corruption. And aside from that, we should also keep on calling out these corrupt people, because they became so shameless that even if we keep on calling out those people, still they remain their job because they think everybody is doing it. But the moment that I become an NBI, I would name and shame those politician, corrupt politician, and I will encourage the public to do just that. Because if everyone is doing that, I think they will start to have a shame. So those are those are the reforms, although not all, and I have detailed it in my action plans, that those are the reforms that I'm going to do in the Ombudsman, should I be appointed.
That was the last question of Congresswoman Luistro. I will just have a follow-up question now. You propose that Congress pass a law that will penalize them by suspension if they talk to the Ombudsman. Do you think that will pass?
Well, that is a wishful thinking, Your Honor, but we'd write, I think, because, Your Honor, it really happens, that there are political interference in the Ombudsman. We cannot deny that fact. Although I'm not yet the Ombudsman, I know I could surmise that it's happening, Your Honor. So people will come to you because you're an Ombudsman. You wield this power. So people will come to you. That should be prevented, Your Honor, to protect the Ombudsman. Because it's, even if you are avoiding these people, if there's no law that prohibits this politician from interfering with the job of Ombudsman, they would still happen, Your Honor. For me, in order to really prevent that, we have to do that, and there are so many ways and creative ways to do that. Not all senators would agree to that, but I believe that I can convince at least one to join my mission, Your Honor, and to share my view. And I don't think I have to encourage a lot of senators, a lot of congressmen, but if I can convince them the importance of having that, and especially the public, if I can convince the public to lobby for their congressmen and for senators, I think it's possible, Your Honor. It's important for us to have hope, Your Honor. And I think I still have hope, Your Honor, that there are similarly minded people who will share my advocacies.
Thank you very much, Tony Vestido. That will be all. Your excuse.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice